Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone. We'll start out tonight with roll call, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Dolan,
Yes.
Selby,
Yes.
Miller,
Yep.
Dodson,
Yes.
Mayor Wallace.
Yes. Well, again, greetings everyone and welcome to this meeting on the 12th here of May. We shall start out once again with Mayor Waller's quote for the day. This one actually comes to us from Maya Angelou. She was a author, essayist, poet. Take the attitude of a student. Never be too big to ask questions. Never know too much to learn something new. Okay, we shall move on to tonight's agenda. I'll entertain any additions or corrections to the agenda. We don't have really anybody that's asked to speak during the citizens' comments portion, so would there be any additions, corrections by the council? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve the agenda as is.
I will second.
Motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, citizens' comments. We do have some invited guests tonight, and the sheriff's department is here to give us an update on the latest and greatest. So I guess the floor is yours at this time, Jason, if you want to come up and
All right,
maybe stand at the mic and just, so it's for the recording.
sure. All right, well, I'm Sheriff Jason Dingman. I think I know all of you, except maybe you. I don't believe we've met yet.
Brad Dolan.
Brad Allen, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I don't have a whole lot. It's the same presentation that I give to the county board at the end of the year for the previous year. So the numbers I will be referencing are the 2025 numbers. So if you have any questions, let me know, and if you have questions of how we came up with these numbers, I'm gonna explain that a little bit too, because things have changed since we had the contract with Morris. Our records management system doesn't allow us to search for ICRs or incidents or tickets or charges that happen within the city of Morris. I would have to manually go through 6,234 ICRs to mine out the ones that happen in the city of Morris. But I can tell you that it's roughly 60% of our entire ICR numbers are generated from the city of Morris. So, on that topic, we do have a new CAD and RMS system coming. We signed a contract a couple of weeks ago, but that build takes about 18 months, so it'll be a while before we get it up and running. And in looking at the demos of that product, we will be able to give far more statistical data than we're able to get from our current system. So, you know, back when Morris had a police department, the chiefs at that time were able to present you guys numbers. Those were from the city of Morris, and the reason that it's different now is Morris Police Department was its own entity within our CAD and RMS system. Now that entity is gone and it's all the sheriff's office, so that's why it's not feasible to mine the numbers out that are just within the city of Morris. But I'll give you some overall numbers. Like I mentioned, 2025 we had 6,234 ICRs, and ICR is an incident report. So essentially anytime the phone rings in dispatch, it generates what's called an ICR. That's just how we track things and get the people to the right place. Civil process, we conducted 201 of those in 2025. Those are paper services that the sheriff's office is statutorily required to do. You name it, there's from anywhere from mortgage foreclosures to somebody getting sued because they're not paying their credit card bills. A majority of those come through our office, and we essentially act as the official mailman for those types of things. So permits to carry, we issued 94 last year. The year before was 123. Permits to purchase was 94, and the year before was 100. Transports, so we track those because we don't have a jail here in Stevens County. So anytime somebody's arrested, we have to transport them to a surrounding county jail. Pre-COVID, we would have to bring the person to jail, and then the next morning or the next 2 mornings later, we'd have to drive there, pick them up, drive them back, have a 4-minute court hearing, and then drive them back to jail again. So our numbers of transports have reduced dramatically since COVID, because COVID forced court into using Zoom a lot more. So now essentially we bring someone to jail. For the most part, they're seen over Zoom from the jail they're at, and if they're held, they stay there. If they're released from that facility. So that dramatically cut down on the number of transports that we have to do. Overall, ambulance calls in Stevens County last year were 1,068. I don't have an exact percentage, but I would venture to say that at least 75% of those ambulance calls we also go to assist them, unless it's just a transfer, like say from the villa to the hospital or between hospitals, then we don't have anything to do with those. But if it's a true medical emergency, we respond to all of those as well. Morris Fire, you probably guys already know this, but last year was 113 calls that we assisted on. Chicago was 26, Donley was 26, and Hancock was 37. We also track our pharmaceutical take-back box. Was, if you're ever up in our lobby, we have it looks like a mailbox. That's where people can bring their expired medications to safely dispose of them. Free service we offer. Last year we collected 240 pounds of prescription medication, so which is pretty good. The year before we did 400 pounds, so people are really utilizing that. And that's 400 pounds of prescription medication that otherwise would have been dumped in the garbage or down the sink, or so. It's a really good program. So some other highlights that we have as far as like youth outreach, we do the fair. Obviously, that's our big one. We partner with Rusk Kinship. We do a couple events per year with them. We do their garden gala and then the event here at Eastside Park. We're on we just did our 3rd year of Shop with a Cop last winter, right before Christmas. And that's all, we select, the numbers vary per year, but it's usually about 10 kids that are selected to come shopping with us, and it's all by donations. Doesn't cost us anything. We bring them to Homestead. They get to pick whatever they want, certain dollar amount. They're wrapped there. They get ice cream there, and we have a little pizza party for them up at our office. And again, that's all covered by donations. We participate in the senior mentorship program. We just had one last week, and we have a ride-along program. So if anyone is interested or has questions about law enforcement, have them give us a call. We'll give them a ride along and answer any questions they have. We like to do it with people that have some type of interest in maybe going into law enforcement, but it's really open to anybody. So that's the down and dirty. I handed out one of these to everybody. That's just a graphic of our chain of command. So you can see that it's myself as sheriff. We have an administrative supervisor and then 2 records managers. We have Donna Griner as our emergency management director, Chief Deputy Reed, who supervises our dispatch, and the patrol sergeants and the investigators. So our PSAT manager is Brian Kaler. We have 2 patrol sergeants now. We have 2 investigators, Ron Hansinger, Damon Kerfman. Our patrol sergeants are Clayton Duvier and Brandon Luthard, or Lightheart, however you want to pronounce it. We have 5 dispatchers, we have 9 patrol deputies, and then we have Ross Tees does our court security and transports on a very part-time basis. So that's the flow of our office, and as of today, we're 1 person short to be fully staffed, but we're in the background process of one of our candidates, and it should be probably next week when we make an offer to fill that last spot. So then we'll be fully staffed again. So there it is. I'm open for any questions, so let me know if you have any. And I always tell people, if you don't have any questions now or can't think of anything now, please email me, call dispatch. They'll get a hold of me. I'll answer any questions anybody has.
Law Enforcement Week this week, so congratulations and
Yeah,
thank you guys
you guys
for
were talking about the paper earlier. I saw my ugly mug in the.
nice picture, by the way, while you guys.
Yeah, it turned out nice. Yes, thank you for that.
I do have a question, Jason. With regards to our city ordinances, do you have any mechanism at all to track, like when you get involved policing our city ordinances at all, or does that not really impact you all that much, or?
Well, it's a 2-part question. We do track it, but it's in our ICRs, and I would have to go through and do a major search to
So
find.
you have to go through all 6,000 and pluck them out?
Yeah, that's, we
Not
can't wait to get rid of
kinda
the system.
daunting?
It's, what is it, 15 years old, so it's time for a new one. And like I said, the new one has a tremendous amount of features that I could literally bring a laptop in here
Yeah.
and pull up in seconds whatever questions you have as far as.
Well, and I guess my
Statistics.
question is, the reason why I asked the question, I don't need exact numbers, but just wanted to know how time consuming it is for you. I mean, does it occupy a lot of your time?
I would say not a lot
Not that
at all.
much?
No.
Okay,
You know, snow emergencies on that particular night takes up a lot of our time, but that doesn't
Yeah.
happen very often.
right,
The other things tend to be kind of random and sporadic.
okay,
Like
okay.
the one we did last summer, that took a few hours, but that was one time, so it's really
Okay.
not burdensome to us is what I'm trying to say.
All right.
Yeah.
I think things have gone very smoothly, and I guess not hearing much feedback from people on it is a sign, I think, for us on how smoothly things are going with our current system. And I
Yeah.
thank you for that.
I appreciate it. It's teamwork with all of us, and we were just talking today that looking back at that process of getting this contract together and up and running, and us hiring, the people that we needed to, and looking back at it now, it's amazing how smoothly that went. So
And the term of our contract is due when?
I believe it'll be due later this year.
2026, before that ends.
the end
Yeah.
of this year.
Yeah,
In 26 it ends, so
Yeah.
next year we'll be
Yep.
sitting down
hammering it out.
That's right.
We'll be hammering it out this year.
this year,
This year.
yeah, so that we can go into 2027 with the contract, so that we're not arguing any back pay or anything like that. I don't know.
Right.
All right, well,
That's
good
always
to
good.
know.
Yeah.
I
So like I
appreciate
said,
you
if you
coming.
guys have any questions in the future about anything, let me know. Okay?
Thanks for
Thank you
taking,
so much.
thanks for
Appreciate
taking
you all
care of
doing
us
it.
while we sleep, I appreciate that.
That's our job.
All right. Okay. Would there be anybody else that would like to approach the council before we move on? Otherwise, we will, I guess, move on. We don't have anybody that indicated they want to speak, so we have no public hearings tonight. We shall move on to our reading and approval of our meeting minutes from April 28th, 2026, and those would be our regular meeting minutes.
I will move approval of the regular meeting minutes for April 28th, 2026.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve our April 28th regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And now we have our condensed version of those same minutes from April 28th, 2026.
I will move approval of the condensed minutes from the April 28, 2026 meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve our April 28th, 2026 condensed version of the minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then next we have our Board of Equalization meeting minutes from April 6th, 2026.
I will move approval of the Board of Appeal and Equalization minutes from the April 6th, 2026 meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the Board of Appeal and Equalization minutes. It was great information to see, and just going from what I'm looking at here, we can feel pretty good as a community that we have as much activity going on as we do. I mean, there's a lot of communities that can't say that. We had about $7.6 million worth of construction between residential and commercial, I guess, so it's exciting stuff. All right.
Just on the training, it says we're valid on the training for Mayor Wallers until 2028 and myself until 2027. I believe that's through those years
Mhm.
You can double
and
check.
not until. And yeah, we just double check and highly recommend a couple of the other. And it's pretty simple. Any questions, if we get a hold of up at the office, county office there, to get you the access to do it. But very valuable for us to be able to have somebody that's got the training, so we retain
Mhm.
that ability for the city. If not, it goes back to the county.
Yeah, we have a minimum of 2 people that need. Yeah, they think it's just one.
I think it's just one.
Just
And
one.
you and you can do it
But
online now.
If
It's
Jeff and I
all
happen
online.
to be,
It's very
yeah.
simple, yes.
If Jeff and I would happen to be gone for some reason,
Sure.
yeah, it's nice to have a,
And I think it's good for 4 years.
yep, 4 years. Yeah, and that's simple. 15, 20 minutes, you're done usually, I think. Okay, any other discussion on that from the council? Hearing none, we had a motion and a second to approve the Board of Appeal Equalization meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. The motion carried. We can move on to our consent agenda, which tonight consists of the audit of city bills, City of Morris Park Board meeting minutes from April 8th, 2026, application for exempt permit, Morris Lions Club, application for exempt permit, Assumption of the Blessed Virgin Mary in Morris, and item E, the Morris Transit Report, and last item F, pay estimate number 8, Project 1 Construction, Inc., Morris Liquor Store. I guess I can move approval of the items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. I will bring it back to the council for discussion on any of those items.
Trying to figure out with the aviation fuel there, line item 20, flight fundamentals, jet A fuel reimbursement for $2,754.84, just on that process, or what?
Yep, in the grant process, I believe there's some reimbursements that happen just because there was with the grant reporting that was needed to get done, we had to pay for it, and then only until we paid for it were we able to get reimbursed back for it. So it's just a part of following the process, kind of like how we accept donations for some local shares, like through grants. Like the city has to pay those invoices before we're able to accept the donations to get reimbursed, I guess, for those local shares. On line 14, the Pomme de Terre electrical boxes, I just want to add that was a budgeted project. Whitney just asked that I call some things out just in case, just because she wouldn't be here tonight. Line 15, that's the DDA's city manager search line. That was originally going to be $18,400, but because only 3 candidates were selected, I don't know what the number was that they had thought that they would go through and do all the screening and coordinating, but because there was fewer candidates than they were expecting, they gave us the $17,600 invoice instead. But Whitney did say, because Pat did help out with negotiations, that there might be a smaller, really small invoice coming for just the negotiations piece.
Best money we ever spent.
I appreciate that, Mayor. Thank you.
I hope so.
Thanks. That's going to keep me working hard, Councilmember Miller. I appreciate that. And then, let's see.
TBD, yeah.
Yeah, jury's still out. And then line 23, this was a utility refund because he had averaged his last few utility payments, but it ended up being over what he actually needed to pay, so that's why there's a little bit of a reimbursement there. But that's all the notes I have for the bill list.
And just to add on that,
Yeah.
Pomme de Terre electrical boxes,
Yeah.
we're upgrading those to 50 amp services out there from the lesser, just the size of campers now are twice the size of what they were when the system was put in. So they went through so that people are pulling in now don't have problems, or the cheaters or all the extra cords they need, they can plug in and have a good system. So
Yeah,
I think they're running new water lines ourselves. The crew
Yep.
is doing the water out there also. So it should be a much better system, our camping experience for our guests that come and spend
Yeah.
time with us in our park.
Yeah, for sure. And still looking at Wi-Fi services to go out there too. We don't have anything set yet, but I know Russ and I are still very much interested in trying to see if we can get some kind of grant or some funding from maybe a partnership from a business in town, but we know that would be a really nice highlight to add to that area too. But yeah, thank you for adding that.
That's the first thing people usually do when they pull into a campground.
Figure out what the Wi-Fi
Exactly. Yeah, it's a big deal. Yeah, so if we could do that, that'd be,
And
Funny
we
how
talked
campgrounds
about
have
just
changed.
raising the rates a bit more to, if we have to pay for it
Right.
with the camping fee, that it's something that people have requested for a number of years out there, the ones that come that are working in the area that camp or set up out there on a weekly basis,
Right.
to have that, so.
yeah, there are people that work out there
Yep.
quite a bit. Camp out there, and work from there. It's basically their home for the summer, in some cases.
Mhm.
All right, any further discussion on any of the other items on the consent agenda?
I think you're making up in that dollar amount. The last meeting you had commented on how cheap the dollar amount was for our bills. And
Sure. Yeah.
looking at that total this
Yeah.
That was a
time,
pretty
it's
short
Yeah.
list.
catching up to us.
Made up for it a little bit here, but
It is what
Alright.
it is, gotta pay our bills.
yeah, the Wells Park final payment was made for the bathrooms, I see,
Yep.
73,301. I haven't been over there and looked at that yet.
I haven't yet either. I still need to go out there. Torgy offered to show me around out there and look at the new facility that they put in for batting cages and
Well, I'll be out there
that sort of
tonight
stuff.
after the meeting tonight, Little League there tonight, so I'll have to go over and check it out.
Yeah.
All right. The concession stand, I would assume, is open then?
I believe so. That's something that's not really the city's deal. That's why we're
Yeah.
trying to put up that wall this fall so that we can really make sure that it's separate.
Separate.
Like, so, you know, city doesn't have anything to do with the concessions part.
Okay,
That'll be whatever association is on that night, or maybe community, I'm not sure exactly
Yeah,
how
okay.
that is coordinated, but.
All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, we had a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We shall move on to petitions, requests, and communications. First item up is a Jet A fuel truck donation. Let's see, boy, that was unexpected, I guess. I thought I was kind of surprised anyway, but not. And this donor requested to be anonymous, so whoever you are, thank you. It was in the amount of $49,840.
That's awesome.
So that's,
That was an upgrade to the original amount that we were able to get. I think the last time we talked a little bit about trying to have a meter system so they
Yes.
could meter it off the truck. Did we get that figured out?
Not yet, so that POS system is still something that our part-time airport manager is still researching to
Working on
see
it.
what would make sense for implementation. He's been a little bit busier being that he's been planting, but yeah, Tom's looking into that to see how much something would cost to rig up and make sure that we can have it available for the entire community, so it's not just like one person's fuel is sitting in the truck and then they're the only person that's able to use that truck, because that's not a good use of local or federal dollars that paid for the vehicle. So it's just sitting right now until we can get that POS system figured out, and then it'll be up and running and able to whiz around the airport and fill up wherever you need to be. So that'll be
Or whoever flies in and wants to fuel up from
Yep.
that truck instead of having to try to get up tight to where the
exactly,
tank is.
yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
bring the fuel to the plane. Makes sense to me. All right. I guess I can move approval of the, accepting that donation for the Jet A fuel truck.
I will second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the donation for the Jet A fuel truck. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item B, we have a change order to the Morris Municipal Liquor Store. And I maybe have City Manager Johnson, if you want to speak to that, please.
Yeah, this is a pretty quick one. There was just a concrete strip that needed to be added after the plans were made to the east side of the building. It's just between the curb and the building, I think, just to add a little bit more sidewalk for people when they step up out of the parking lot there. But yeah, just $1,155 just for a little bit extra concrete there.
Okay.
I will move approval of the change order for the Morrison Municipal Liquor Store in the amount of $1,284 with the extra couple small fees on top of the original amount there.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. There's no further discussion. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of accepting the change order for the Morris Municipal Liquor Store, Liberty Viverty.
What do you got in that bottle?
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sorry about that. Change order 2026 Street Capital Improvement Project reclaims. Once again, City Manager Johnson, if you want to just touch on that for us.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is a continuation of the conversation where we had originally approved the bid for, I believe it was $143,698.90, with $20,000 of that being engineering costs from More Engineering to be able to support the public bidding process. So after bids came back, and they came back so much lower than Russ or our engineering firm was anticipating, we decided to continue to chat with Joe Riley Construction to see how much further we could potentially go down on Columbia to see, you know, since we had budgeted originally $308,527 for total mill and overlay work, crack seals, mud jacking, seal coating, and those engineering costs, how much we could get done in the roadway, since we had that much budgeted anyway. So what we had gotten back from them was this change order that had broken down 2 additional pieces of roadway. So the first would be from South Street to the north side of the intersection of Green River Road. That came back at $79,318.84. And then the second piece of roadway would be from the north side of the intersection of Green River Road to Highway 9 out by that Jerry's U-Save. And that bid came back at $62,288.68. So we've got the estimate change order from Joe Riley Construction attached so that you can see that from Mr. Graves there. So because at this point in time we're not working with Moore Engineering anymore to continue on the change order process, that's something that our Public Works Director Russ is very familiar with, so we're able to save on engineering costs that way too, which is really nice. But yeah, in total, I'm recommending that the City Council approve the change order of $141,607.52 to add to the scope of the 2026 reclaims work for street capital improvements, which would bring the total amount to $285,306.42 for street improvements on Columbia Avenue from East 7th Street to Highway 9, including a portion of West 5th Street. And this is coming from our budgeted fund 201, the capital improvement projects that was approved for 26. And then as for the timing of the work, city staff are trying to work with Joe Riley Construction to wait until the project starts until after school is out, just to hopefully make detour routes and stuff like that a little bit easier for folks going to and from drop-offs and stuff like that. But however, they did let us know that once sanitary sewer and water gets put in at that new apartment building that's going up on Columbia and East 5th, that they're going to want to get started on the project so that they can keep pace with everything. But that is what I have on that. But I'll stand for any questions if you have anything.
Is it worth adding in there to get it paved before school starts so we don't drag on?
Yeah,
As we've had, I mean, that we have a window that we want to get it done
yeah,
after school is out, but before school starts, so
yeah.
we do get that process done with the traffic that's on that road.
Yeah, I can see if we can, Russ and I can chat with them about putting some restrictions in just so we make sure that we keep everything moving along so that we don't end up with a half-finished project by the time construction season's over. Again.
That would not be good in that street.
No, not at all.
Exactly, to get
And
it.
yeah,
Gee, I guess I'll allow, if you want to speak, sure, come on up and just speak to this issue if you would. Always appreciate.
I'm Jay Fear, a retired city engineer. I'm wondering if mud jacking for the additional part going down from South Street to the highway is included in that for any concrete that's sunk, because that's been crucial to keeping our streets together, is to mud jack the grades so that the water flows through and doesn't soak in.
yeah, so for my purposes of preparing the memo, it was included just as, what we had budgeted in total for
Just
reclaims
blacktop for
work.
Riley's.
But yeah, I can get a separate breakdown for mud jacking if you'd like, sir. But I do know that we have just over 23,000 left over for any items that might pop up, just in case we have to deal with something, because I know that's happened to us before. That
As you probably remember, there's lots of service lines that were put in from Green River Road going out to 9, lots of homes there. And normally, that's 20-some years ago, there might be some settling, and I certainly would recommend mud jacking that. Thank
Money
you.
well spent.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree to get the water to run off and not pond or settle in those spots. And I'm sure Russ would agree with that.
Appreciate your thoughts, Jay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, yeah, we get some more, and it appears we're still kind of under budget, so makes sense. Appreciate your work on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Any further discussion from members of the council on that?
Oh, I think it's good that we can get this done without actually any more engineering costs
Yeah.
laid on top of it, so. I'll move approval of the change order on the 2026 street capital improvement projects reclaims.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the change order 2026 street capital improvement project reclaims. I'll just ask for a voice vote on that, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, next item up before us is tourism board recommendations. And I guess City Manager Johnson, if you want to just touch on that, that'd be great.
Yep, so the tourism board met on May 5th and discussed two recommendations for horticulture night and the Morris Theater, which is an event stack opportunity with the Cream of the Prop fly-in event. So I'm recommending that the city council make a motion to approve the tourism board's recommendation to authorize a marketing request at tier 1 for horticulture night and a marketing request just below tier 4. It's typically up to $500, but we only need $400 for the Morris Theater to event stack with the Cream of the Prop fly-in. A little bit more specifically, Horticulture Night is a free event that offers speakers, demonstration tours, research highlights, vendor and educational booths, family-friendly activities, food trucks, live music, a raffle, and voting for your favorite plant, and other things. It'll be on July 30th, 2026 from 4 to 8 p.m. It'll follow immediately after Crazy Days, so that'll be a nice opportunity for folks maybe to stay overnight, get them to try and stay in Morris longer. It'll be out at the Rock. We'll be hosting this event at the Horticulture Display Garden. And then just as a reminder, Tier 1 is up to $6,500 and includes social media ads, blog, digital display, OTT, which I looked up is over-the-top ads, which is basically they're targeting streaming ads on certain platforms to smart TVs and other smart devices. I just didn't know what that was, so I wanted to make sure. YouTube, search engine marketing, print, radio, and TV. And then the simpler one, Morris Theater event stack with Cream of the Prop fly-in. This was something that came from Brandy Miller trying to work with members in the community, businesses in the community to try to reinforce this idea of event stacking. Like if you try to have other businesses kind of tap into other festivals that are already going on, try to just get people to stay in Morris longer and give more to the local economy, I guess, I suppose. So this date will be on D-Day, June 6th, around 2 p.m., same date as Cream of the Prop, obviously. Our tourism coordinator approached local theater about scheduling a prop plane movie to have kind of those folks that are interested in flying that will be in town for the fly-in, maybe try to convince them to stay longer and go see the movie with their friends or family or what have you. So Morris Transit will also be operating by the time Cream of the Prop fly-in event ends. So if they need to, Morris Transit could go out to the airport, bring them in, and then bring them back. So that would work well so that nobody's having to just walk, I suppose, from the airport if they truly did fly in from a town over or whatever. But yeah, only $400 is needed to license a prop plane themed movie to tie in with the already approved Cream of the Prop fly-in. But yeah, that tier 4 just includes social media ads. But we only need $400, which is why I'm just requesting that amount.
Yeah, it was a really well-attended event last year, and hopefully we can build on it. And looks like, I think this will help, certainly in that, make it a little bigger and better each year.
Right.
I will move approval of the tourism board recommendation for the two items listed.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the tourism board recommendations. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, item E is Nagel Appraisal Special Assessment Engagement Letter. This would be for our old liquor store.
No, this will
This-
be for,
Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah, for
Okay.
special assessments on,
There we go, yep, sorry, I
yeah.
got ahead of myself there.
no, you're good, you're good.
Yeah, there we
um,
go.
yeah.
I'll let you speak to that,
Okay.
city manager.
Thanks, Mayor. And I should apologize right away because I missed one of the L's in the title item for Nagel, so it should be 2 L's there. But so we've got, the city has 2 road improvement project areas out, identified for 2027 reclaims work, so that'll be East 3rd, 4th, and 5th as one area, and then Albany and Sunset will be the other. Those repairs will start in 27, but will require special assessment funding to proceed with construction improvements. And city staff at this point in time do not have enough preliminary information to carry out the special assessment process alone, which is why we've typically contracted with appraisement consultants like Nagel in the past to help us carry that out. So I'm recommending that the city council approve the $2,200 plus any additional fees associated with carrying out the assessment appraisal with Nagel Appraisal. And then just as some discussion, special assessments, I know Blaine has kind of talked to me about maybe this is a policy that I should take a look at because I don't know if it's been updated in quite some time, and I know there's a lot of cities across the state that are getting a lot more creative with how special assessments are handled, or just like trying to get away from them, the idea of them, just because for some folks it is very burdensome. So I am happy to keep looking at that, chatting with the League of Minnesota Cities on that, to see what other cities have done. But overall, Minnesota cities use special assessments to finance local public improvements. And they do that by directly charging properties that benefit from the project, excuse me. This is done to reduce reliance on general property tax levies while distributing costs to the specific abutting property owners rather than all taxpayers. So the cost is allocated to the assessment projects themselves and then will be reimbursed or paid for by the funding of the assessment projects. So this is typically a combination of general obligation special assessment bonds, which are paid back by assessments and fees from each utility that's a part of the project, so water, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer. Nagel will do the general appraisals and then give the city the information needed to carry out the rest of the special assessment process. And a lot of that is just when it comes time for public hearing to kind of understand and convey the value of the infrastructure prior to that project being done and after it being completed, so that those that are being specially assessed understand why that's happening, I suppose, at all. So this contract will include drive-by viewing of the subject properties, noting the physical and or economic factors that could affect the properties, commenting on market benefit, if any, based on observations of the market, and then providing a general range of benefit for any properties on the project. And it's a mix. The property along these areas are a mix of industrial, commercial, and residential, so it'll be really nice to have a special eye on those areas for somebody that's done this quite a bit before. And then I've got the Nagel appraisal engagement letter attached, just in case you'd like to take a look and see. And then they've also got images of the 2 project areas and properties concerned.
The East 3rd, 4th, and 5th would be from Columbia to College Avenue, correct?
I believe so, yep.
It's
Yeah.
just so clarify if anyone's
Yep, sorry.
listening, that they're not gonna be looking at doing all of 3rd, 4th, and 5th
Right.
from Main Street all the way up.
Sure.
It's just Columbia to College
Yep,
Avenue.
just Columbia to
That
College.
is older, that has not been done, and the infrastructure underneath it
Yep.
needs.
And it'll tie up pretty nicely, being that the apartment building that's going up right there at this time, they're going to need sewer capacity increases, as well as Stevens County HRA is looking at developing that property that they have that's kind of sunken in a little bit, so they need to, another conversation, but they need to look at maybe putting in a lift station there. So it's good timing that we're having these conversations, at least, so we can think about how much capacity is needed under this roadway, just to make sure that we've got enough figured out for how much growth is happening in that area.
And the sidewalk, we've talked about it a couple of different times on the north side, I suppose, of that road, then there isn't a sidewalk there. Is that gonna be part of that scope of work too?
I believe so. We've talked about it. I know that was Blaine's original idea, was to maybe narrow the roadway a little bit and then put a sidewalk in.
So we have foot traffic on both sides.
Yep, yeah.
That would make a lot of sense, I think.
Yeah, but I know talking to other people that use that road quite a bit, and it's a lot of parking on either side, so we're still having more conversations about if we do really want to narrow it or if we want to leave it as wide as it is, just to help people like feel like they can still park there and have traffic move.
Yeah, we got those generational trees that are kind of along that boulevard too, that we'd have to work around and keep that in mind, so
Yeah,
be nice to be able to accommodate a sidewalk if we can make it work, but.
Okay.
All right.
I'd be interested to hear what you got to find out when you try to figure out how to move away from special assessments. I really don't see that in all my years being here and looking at it. It seems that that's one thing that when you turn down that street, that it never turns around.
mm-hmm.
It would be something that maybe you could combo
Yeah,
with taxpayer monies, but you're always going to have a portion that's got to be assessed,
mm-hmm.
and that's the trouble. That's why we always have the assessments done, because we have to prove that we're adding that value to the house in order to assess it,
Right,
because that can be challenged, and it has been.
yeah.
And
Isn't it 60% of the value, or there's a percentage I think we've kind of worked off of? I'm just
well, if you're going to assess the 15,000 for the deal, it has to add so much value to
Value,
the property.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's a calculation there, and I can't
Yeah.
remember how it
And I
worked.
mean,
Yeah.
that was always the killer for 7th Street.
Yeah,
It wasn't even gonna come close to that.
oh yeah, the assessment would have been
Right.
over 40,000
Yeah, it was
a
never,
household,
never gonna
Yeah.
be
so it was
close.
way over.
So I mean, that's interesting. It would be interesting to see what cities have
Yeah,
had it and have tried to move away from it.
mm-hmm.
What combinations did they use? That would be very interesting. You know, I mean, I don't know if you would have, I don't know if lodging tax could be used for that, or if you
No,
had,
you
you
cannot.
had different, probably not, no,
You
that's
cannot.
just for different.
Very explicit what that can be used for.
So whether or not a certain tax is starting to be collected, I don't
Sure.
even know if that's probably part of if cities go in and start to assess or make a sales tax.
Yeah,
So you know, there's been rules and regulations, but a lot of cities do that.
Yeah, I know cities have sales taxes for street improvements to try to curb the burden on special assessments. I know that cities have taken both the approach of we're just going cold turkey, we're not doing assessments after this year, or we're kind of phasing out of them. So slowly we're budgeting more in other funds to start killing off special assessment burdens as we continue down that process. I know there have been cities that have assigned residents to a special assessment task force to look at it, to see if they have any creative ideas that jive with state statute for how we can deal with it.
Or you can, you know, I mean, on your utilities for your
Mhm.
water and your sewer, you know, I mean, you just start out with a certain plan that you're going to raise it,
Yep,
and then when you hit your
To provide.
threshold of 10 years out or whatever you hit for your money threshold, where you can roll out of your assessments, and then that over that course of time, then everybody is paying for it. So
Right.
when you get there, that is a way
Yeah.
to roll
It's
out
an
of it.
option, but
Yeah.
if you've been assessed and you've been assessed and you've been
And
assessed,
so it's
And
gotta be
that's-
enough time
We're gonna
frame
do
where people
mine.
forget.
and
Yeah.
that's
we're
that's
gonna
the
do mine in 5 years and now we're
Yeah,
all gonna be assessed for
exactly.
mine.
Right, that's
Yeah, it's
that's
not
always
fair.
the rub, yeah,
Yeah,
is that, you
That's the
know,
rub.
those,
right.
when those policy changes do happen, it's, you know, you have the people that have
Yeah.
gone through that old policy and they don't understand why they had to go through it, but now it's changed for these people. So
That's why
it's,
there has
yeah,
it's gonna be, it'll be a while.
You don't have to look very far. I mean, we just did Sixth Street
Yeah.
here was an assessment project, and
Mhm.
I was out raking my yard when the gentleman was on his way up to pay his assessment, and I got my ear bent about that. So you can only imagine I'd be getting my ear bent again. if we
Sure,
changed
yeah.
You
it.
look pretty good.
But It's straightened out time. I had to lay a book on it.
We'll all be off by the time we hit that. Let's put that date out there.
Leave it to the newbie.
It's good. Yeah,
Well, we can look
you're right,
into
though.
it, get some options, yeah, that's,
I'll keep
it
looking
never hurts to
into it.
look and
Yeah.
research it.
Yep, yeah. It's just interesting to see what other cities are doing because it's always something that I'd always thought didn't have much flexibility with it, but the more I learn about it, the more I hear how cities are trying to
Oh, yeah.
curb the huge fees that they're getting when, you know,
Well,
it's so
the
hard to
problem
try
is
and move it around.
trying to do the project.
Yeah,
You're in a spot where you can't assess enough, and you're going to bring that much more burden back to the city
right.
to tax out to everyone, and the
Yeah.
project becomes very difficult to do as these projects are getting more and more expensive. So,
Yeah, exactly.
I'll move approval for the Nagel Appraisal Special Assessment Engagement Letter.
I will second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the Nagel Appraisal Assessment Engagement Letter. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, I think we have the last item here. Is 2026-5311 MnDOT Capital Vehicle Grant Agreement. City Manager Johnson, if you want to speak to that, that would be great.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this is a continuation of a conversation that you last had back in 2025 with Becca, my predecessor. So this is a contract from MnDOT as a follow-up from the original 2025 application for 2 gas class 400 buses for the Morris Transit fleet to replace 2 older buses. I'm recommending that the City Council approve the 2026 Capital Vehicle Grant Agreement to authorize the financial assistance received through the state and federal funding programs and the city's local share of $39,400 for the purchase of 2 gas class 400 transit buses. I've got the grant agreement attached there, and also if you go to the very last couple pages, we've got a memo from Becca and the original resolution that she and Mayor Wohler signed back in 2025 for your reference. And then on page 38 of the agreement, there's a cost split broken down for you to see the 80-10-10. So that'll be 80% federal, so $315,200, 10% state and 10% local, so both coming out to $39,400. And this will be coming out of Budget Fund 202 capital outlay, which we had budgeted for. But I guess just talking more with our transit staff, it's just transit vehicles are historically very backed up, very back ordered. So it's just taken us a while to get to this point with the limited supply of chassis available that we're able to be ready to order these buses. But the buses will come in and then we'll replace 2 of our older transit fleet, and then the city will sell those 2 older buses off on auction. But let me know if you have any questions. It's a thick agreement, so I apologize.
The status of our electric bus, that's gone, that's history, they couldn't find a heating system.
They were able to swap for propane, so that's kind of the solution that we had found on that was.
So have we got that bus yet, or is that still coming?
I don't believe we have that bus yet, but it was approved at
Okay,
either the last council meeting or the council meeting prior that we had entered into a contract with MnDOT to get that processed. I can check in with
it's just
Whitney
where we're
and-
at, because I know it's been
Yeah.
backed up and we've been delayed because they couldn't find a proper heating system
Yeah,
with that.
and that was my original thought when I saw this agreement come. I said, hang on now, I thought we were just getting one propane bus, and she goes, oh no, this is a continuation from 2025. This is
And I
something
know it's
different.
been backed up with the regulars with the shortage of
Yeah.
chassis, but
Yeah.
it has freed up some.
That's good to stay ahead of our transit vehicles and replace the new and upgrade and sell the old, just so we can stay ahead of the game, and it's a valuable service for our community for sure.
Great usage by all of the community, the seniors, the college, the youth. I mean, it's utilized greatly by all of our community.
Yeah, it's,
And up to 6 buses, I think, at the peak times that are running at the same time, so.
Mhm.
All right, any further discussion on,
I think we got it. Did somebody move on it?
nope,
We
nobody,
need a movement, yeah.
not yet, but we're just,
I will move on the 2026 5311 MnDOT Capital Vehicle Grant Agreement.
I'll second.
okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve 2026-5311 MnDOT Capital Vehicle Grant Agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right, we have one, we'll move on to ordinances and resolutions, and we have one resolution authorizing fund transfers, and I'll just let City Manager Johnson speak to that, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So I didn't have a memo on this because chatting with Whitney, it sounds like this is an annual resolution that is approved by council that you all have conversations about during budget preparations. So just chatting with her, it's just a resolution that gives finance permission to enter in those budgeted transfers that were discussed during the last budget cycle. And then typically, she did say that the city waits until after the audit is finished up to post these, but because the audit has been pushed back by that one guy that we've had assigned on medical leave, we just wanted to get it confirmed before we get really into the thick of budget prep for 27. So this is nothing new or out of the ordinary from previous years, but if you have any questions on it, let me know and we can get back to you as soon as possible and get them into the minutes for the record as well.
This is basic bookkeeping cleanup at the end of the year.
Yep, yeah.
Do that, so. I'll move on this resolution authorizing the fund transfers.
I will second.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, our fiscal year starts in July, right? Is that kind of the way we work, or no?
No, we follow just the typical calendar year.
Take
Yes.
calendar year, okay.
Yeah, that's
I was
why.
thinking of the state legislature, I think, yeah.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
State
it's-
legislature, I think, runs on a July,
It's not, when I was in Kansas, they started in
yeah,
July, and that was always so wonky to me.
okay.
It's very
yeah.
nice to be on a typical calendar.
Okay, all right, any further discussion on that? We have a motion and a second on that resolution authorizing fund transfers. I'll just ask for a voice vote on that, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we shall move on to our city manager's reports and recommendations in her newsletter.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a longer one, so I apologize about that. But we got a lot going on, so it's good. The first item is a potholing pilot project from Minnesota Department of Health. So this is coming back to the broader federal mandate to replace lead lines by 2037. Minnesota is an overachiever, so they're trying to replace all lead lines by 2033. So this is a pilot project for the lead service line potholing identification, which is basically a hydro excavation where it's safely digging small, non-invasive holes to physically inspect the pipe material at the curb stop and building entry point. And then once they have that small hole dug, then they can look in, inspect, and see if it is that gray dull color, then it'll be lead, or if it's any kind of copper or plastic. And then they'll enter those findings into a GIS system, so the Minnesota Department of Health can have a full database to understand property owners that are affected by those lead lines. But It's very exciting that we've been selected. It'll be a lot like the inventory project where the cost of the engineering and the contractor will be directly contracted with the state of Minnesota. So the city will not have any direct financial costs, but city staff will be working with the state and those contractors to identify those locations to be selected for the GIS mapping. And then the guidance from the state is just no more than 50 locations, but priority locations will be where the house has those identified materials and the street side of the curb stop is unknown. So that'll just help reduce the number of notification letters that the city needs to send out. But should be a pretty cool project. It was nice to get that notification from Moore Engineering that we've been selected.
And it should be fairly easy to pinpoint the older areas of our community
Yeah,
that potentially have the lead lines
yeah,
just off of the, going around last year
yeah.
and checking on the inside what's coming into the houses, so.
Yeah, that's why it's so nice that they've already reached out to Ryan to start talking about what they've already located, where they know they'll have the problem areas in town. So yeah, they're looking at doing, Minnesota Department of Health will do over 1,000 public water systems, so Morris is one of 1,000, but a lucky 1,000 that we're getting some help in getting these mapped out. So if residents they can go and check out the website to see what they can do to try and get their lines replaced, or work with the city to get see how it all will work out. But yeah, should be a pretty cool project.
Huh.
Total estimated cost of just the state of Minnesota's lead line replacements is looking close to 1.5 billion.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're able to get this piloting project in with full fees covered by the state of Minnesota is really nice, because it's crazy
Is
how
there
much.
funding for there's no funding for
That's the
replacing.
thing with
So
the-
they're gonna come and say, hey, you need all these
Yep,
lines replaced because they're lead,
exactly.
and then there's no funding to replace them.
Right, because
So
they
that will
happen to
be
not
up to
pass a
the
bonding bill
homeowner.
that year, or whatever it may
Well,
be. So that's
There's
why.
there's not gonna be money to.
So that's why it's important to contact your legislators and make sure.
So are we lucky
Yeah.
that they're gonna come in here and tell us we got
But
lead
they
problems?
they can tell us we're there, it doesn't mean we have to replace them.
No, but it'll be identified in the
Yeah.
GIS system that there's lead lines in Morris, Minnesota.
Because you said the federal is until what,
2037.
2037, so you can fall back on the federal, even I can read.
Yeah, and I think there are already cities that are in communication with the state at extensions, just because they know with how old some of their infrastructure is, they're not going to be able to front that kind of cost with a complete system overhaul within that kind of a time frame that makes sense for folks living in the city. But
Well, we'll know more, they're gonna identify, so,
right,
I mean, that's part of the start.
yeah. My next item that I have.
Big old
Oh,
boom
sorry.
base here. Good, 50 locations. That's gonna find.
Next item that I have on the newsletter is the 7th Street corrective work that is about to resume, I believe. So Joe Riley Construction will be performing some corrective work on the 7th Street project before placing the final lift of pavement. That'll involve mostly just patching, grinding down some of the problem pavement that's been cracked so bad. Some of this work began with placing some topsoil in to fill in some of the areas that settled in so much. Like Mayor, I know last meeting you were talking about some of those aprons that you could really see needed a lot more fill in.
Yep.
I believe some of that topsoil is going there, but I do know that there's still just a small amount of curb and gutter work that needs to be done. So there might be one apron that still hasn't gotten that topsoil just because they know they need to come in and do a little bit more curb and gutter. Tentatively, this is this Wednesday, May 13th date. They're now thinking that because of the rain that's projected to come on Thursday, I believe, or maybe it's Wednesday night. They're now looking at starting next week on that patching due to weather. A full time frame on the 7th Street project is still unknown. The city's engineer on the project will keep us updated as more plans settle and those timelines can start firming up a bit, but the public works director continues to maintain conversations with Joe Riley and with Seth, just to make sure that full list of corrections that they itemized is taken care of before we lay down that final lift. So it's good. Thought we were gonna get started tomorrow, but sounds like we're not. I just took a call from Jeff around 4, and he let me know that they're probably going to be delayed another week, so that's a bummer, but hopefully they can get started as quick as possible and get that project finished up. Don't think I have anything else to add on that one, but nuisance weed notice. This is just adding on. We received a question about native grass lawns after posting our nuisance weeds notice on Facebook. So this is in section 7.11 and 10.21 of Morris City Code. Native grasses and wildflowers indigenous to Minnesota planted and maintained on any occupied lot or parcel of land set back to a minimum of 10 feet from the front property line as part of a garden or landscape treatment are exempt from this ordinance. Shall also be unlawful for any such person or persons to cause, suffer, or allow noxious weeds or plants identified and defined by the Minnesota Department of Ag to grow on any such lot or parcel of land so as to endanger health, safety, and welfare of the city. So that's just, we answered it on Facebook, so I figured I would tack it on to this newsletter since we had talked about it in my last one. Audit presentation, this is a quick one. This is being pushed. Oh, sorry, yeah.
Back to the native
Yeah.
property line, is that to the boulevard? Isn't the boulevard technically city property?
Yeah, I believe it should
So
be.
if they're going, let's say there's a sidewalk there, are we measuring 10 feet from the street curb back, or are we measuring 10 feet from the sidewalk back?
It says 10 feet from the property line. So
Well, property line goes all the way to the street, right?
Technically, the boulevard is the city.
No.
Property line is usually where the sidewalk ends on the
Correct,
north side.
because we own the
Oh.
boulevard.
Yeah, we own the boulevard
That's
and the
right.
sidewalk.
Correct.
Okay.
So that can make a big difference about where they're thinking,
Yeah.
you know, because
Yeah.
I've seen it where, well, on 28,
Yeah.
it goes right up to the, you know, I don't know if they've gotten that backed off yet,
okay.
but I know on 28, halfway through the town on the north side, I'd seen it come all the way down to the city curb.
Okay.
So I think that's, you know, and it says in more like a flower garden,
Sure.
not like a whole lawn.
Right.
So I
Just
think that's
maintaining
why
those
there
setbacks.
should be, I mean, if they're having the grass and that stuff, they're gonna be wanting it like all over their yard. Not just in what you would consider to be a nice, beautiful little garden area.
Sure.
So I'm thinking 10 feet back from the boulevard, not from the curb, is what we're talking about.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Well, I think specification is very important in this predicament,
For sure. Yeah.
so.
Okay.
Okay.
Audit presentation. This presentation is being pushed again to the May 26th council meeting as the audit team member that's meant to present in Morris is still out on medical leave and they're having a hard time finding anybody that could assume that duty for them. Wells Park bathroom project reached substantial completion. So, talking to Russ, sounds like the Wells Park bathroom project is pretty much wrapped up. It's just, there's an automated flusher that's not automatically flushing, but you can still manually flush it. So aside from that, and then the wall that is still going to be put up, later this fall, that project is completed. So that's super exciting. But I know, talking to Tony this morning about the split between the concessions area and the bathroom and some of that storage, I think that's around the bathroom too. It's gonna be really nice to have just some separation so it's a clean break. between those two spots. Another parks item, East Side Park band shell. Russ let me know that the band shell had some flashing start to come undone, and so when city staff went to check out the damage, they had seen that the roof is completely rotted on the band shell. So Russ talked to me about it a little bit. Does not sound like it's going to be an easy fix at all. So we're still talking about some long-term solutions, but until we get that figured out, those flashings are going to keep coming off every time we come back out to fix them, just because it seems like they've reached the end of their life. So we're going to talk to the park board about that tomorrow, to chat with them and get some recommendations from them about what they'd like to see for how public works staff deal with that in the interim until we find a long-term solution. But it's a bummer because those tin flashings are meant to be weather protectant, and then it turns out that they really weren't. So yeah, we're gonna be Russ and I will be chatting quite a bit about what we do with that now that we know that it's got to be completely ripped off, at least on the roof. Tree board, community tree giveaway and planting. This year's community tree giveaway will be on May 15th and 16th, Friday, May 15th from 1 to 5 p.m. and Saturday, May 16th from 8 a.m. to noon across from the fairgrounds at the city shops on County Road 22. 100 trees will be given away to Morris property owners on a first-come, first-served basis. There are 12 varieties. The trees will be 4 to 5 feet tall. The free tree must be planted on private property, not on city boulevard, within the Morris city limits. There's a limit of 1 tree per property, and you must show an ID to confirm your Morris residence. Each tree will come, I was surprised to hear that too. Each tree will come with a bag of wood chip mulch and detailed instructions for planting and aftercare. This year's community planting event will take place on Wednesday, May 20th from 4 to 6 p.m. in Genstead Park and neighboring boulevards. And then I just said both events will be great for folks of all ages, so come on out, bring a shovel and gloves if you can. I just figured I'd give another push to that just because we've got a few days here before that event takes place, and it seems like it'll be fun. I'm going to try and be out there for both days of the tree giveaway and for the planting as well. But yeah, should be fun. Grimway Fresha lift station construction has started. The construction for a lift station out at Fresha started Wednesday, May 6th. Joe Riley Construction started working on installing force main just across from Fresha and working towards a state right-of-way. I just got another email from Moore Engineering on this, just as a quick update. So the Rileys are expected to be done with both the sanitary and the water late on Thursday along County Road 22, and then they'll have to wait until the boring company comes to complete the work underneath the county roadway, and then that'll happen mid-June, they're estimating. The big hang-up right now is that the permit from MnDOT right away has not been received yet, and they don't really understand what the holdup is. Ryan talked to MnDOT this morning, and they said that it was really close and gave permission for Moore to put in construction stakes in the right-of-way at least, so that's a start. But yeah, Ryan, our city engineer, just said, in a perfect world, we'll have the permit in the next 2 days, and Riley's could get started on that segment next. But if it's not received, then their current plan is to move to Industrial Boulevard. He just said that he's stressing to them that we want to minimize the disturbance of Industrial Boulevard and want to try and keep this permit process going as quick as possible. But he said the actual construction has been going really smooth, so that's good to hear at least. And Russ has been in contact with those folks out there too, so that's nice that he's been informed of what's going on out there. This is another parks one. It's an odd one. Russ said that this is an inspection that he's never been a part of before, so he doesn't know if this is something new. I don't know if this is something new. But he just met with a state inspector, I believe from the Department of Health, And they inspected the Pomme de Terre campground. This is, the inspection determined that there is some bathroom painting that needs to be done, as well as installation of some backflow preventers. So we've got the backflow preventers ordered. We'll install those when they get here, and then Public Works is going to pressure wash the bathrooms and then put on a fresh coat when it's warm enough. So pretty soon here, I would wager. But that was just a weird one because Russ couldn't remember any time that they had ever had an inspection done out there. So I don't know if I don't know
I know
why.
we had one, I have a seasonal site up at Tips and the Mounds in Elbow Lake, and
Okay.
they had an inspector come through there about a year ago, actually.
Okay.
And they identified the same kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. I mean, yeah, it'll be nice to have fresh coat of paint and those backflow preventers in there. But yeah, it was just kind of funny. He was like, this is weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never done this before.
They just must be making the rounds.
Yep. And then this is an Inspectron update for fixed rate permit applications. I've got a letter from Inspectron attached to this item if you want to take a look at their guidance that is coming from the state of Minnesota. So currently, if a homeowner and a contractor has more than one project, like if you're doing siding, roofing, windows, and doors, you can just apply for one fixed rate permit that because you'll be doing that work at the same time, and then you would just submit that one application and then pay the single fee of $126 for residential. Going forward, the state of Minnesota is now saying separate permits will be required for each project, and then fees associated as well. So if you're doing siding, roofing, windows, and doors, that would be 4 separate applications for permits for 4 separate permit fees. So it'd be 126 times 4, which is a little nuts.
Gotta make up for that deficit somehow.
I suppose. It's crazy though. So city does not get these types of permits as often. We just were chatting with Debbie, I think her name is, with Inspectron. That's their office specialist. But we still just wanted to put it on the agenda just to make sure people are aware about it, make sure you're aware about it once the busy season starts up with these kinds of projects. But this will apply to all residential projects, and then commercial projects will be based on evaluation for the building. So it won't be that flat fee of 126. It'll be based on the specific building.
And when does that take effect?
Did already.
Yeah, I believe, they sent it on April 21st.
So effective immediately.
Yep.
Wow.
And they've got more specialty skill areas laid out from the Department of Labor and Industry to kind of help coach you up so you understand what it would all entail. But in that letter too, it also calls out the specific state of Minnesota admin rules that apply to that change. So it's not something that came from the city. It's not something that came from Inspectron, but it is something that we gotta deal with and talk to the public about. So, not a very fun one there, but wanted to let you know about it. And then,
I think based off of that, it says especially skilled areas, or skill areas, so you mentioned, doors, windows, all that kind of stuff being separate. I think that would be one that would be under carpentry, I believe. And so doors, windows, that kind of thing, drywall, that would just be one. And then if you were going to do cabinet, interior finishing is one, exterior finishing is one.
yep,
So hey, if I was gonna do that, but then I was gonna also do, some wood floors inside, okay, that's a separate permit. So there's
Yeah.
8, I believe there's 7, 8
yep,
skills, and then within each one of those skilled areas, there's anywhere from
qualify.
4 to 8 subdivisions that would be under one permit. So
yes,
Permit.
I think, I just didn't want it to be, somebody says, oh, I'm gonna do my doors and windows and $400, and really that's kind of just in one category, it'd probably be just one. But,
yeah.
but it is going to be a little bit different, so,
Yeah,
kind of how we took the first shot when they were doing the water heaters and stuff like that, so. you might be
Just
ducking
a
that
little more
one.
paperwork, that's about what it's gonna amount to.
Mhm.
And then the last one's more of a fun one. The old liquor store appraisal came back, so that's what the last really big thick document is in there. Carolina, sorry about that, I know. Carolina was not too impressed that we had to attach that in there. But we received that back from New Real Estate. So the appraisal came back as $495,000 for 12,600 deeded square feet, or $39.29 per square foot. The next step will be to meet with our finance director and our liquor store manager, just to talk through when exactly they think construction will be done, when they can start moving in, when they would be done moving in, any kind of leeway time that they might need, just to make sure they got everything out, everything cleaned up before any kind of realtor or broker wants to come in and start that process, because as soon as that process is started, we just want to have all of our stuff out and make sure that all of our liquor store merchandise and staff and whatever else is in there is completely out of there and in the new building.
On this appraisal,
Yeah.
what portion of the parking lot did it include?
That's a good question.
Because that's gonna be very, very, very important to that property.
Yeah.
Because, there's a lot of businesses all around there that utilize that parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever buys that, it's gotta be determined what is theirs. Obviously, I would say that the parking positions that butt up to the sidewalk that are adjacent to the building would be theirs. And then out from that, there's a double row parking between that and the alleyway. So, I know that Blaine had mentioned that double row, you'd want to leave that as public parking.
Yep.
And then sell the rest of it, so I don't know if that was part of the assessment,
Sure.
and I mean, that would have to be, if I was gonna buy that property, I would say, okay, this is
What is that?
This is private parking, it's not for the restaurant, you can't park here, you'd be towed, and,
Yeah.
cause there was problems with that, when they had the restaurant.
Dental office.
Yeah, the dental office, and then you had the restaurant across from Pizza Ranch, that when the other one was there, people were parking in there, and then
Bella.
going to, Bella, and going there, and that was
Okay.
private parking, and, so I think that's definitely gotta be,
Figure it out. There's gonna be some, but how much of it that's
Right.
gonna,
That's
but
part
we
of it.
need to,
Yeah.
cause that's gonna be, whoever does buy that is gonna wanna know that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the general comments section, as I was reading through that, the retail building itself is 4,500 square feet. And just a shout out to everybody out there, the new liquor store that we built is 10,080 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So we more than doubled our square footage on the new liquor store, so, that's the good side of this. And
Yep.
of that 12,000 square feet, then 4,500 of that is the building.
Yeah. Councilmember Salvi, just to piggyback off of what your question was, I've started chatting with our city county attorney about that specifically because I know Blaine had mentioned that to me, like we're gonna have to have some kind of legal document in place so we can try and maintain that public parking. And then I've also, there's a League of Minnesota Cities, city county managers, sort of informational posting that you can post out for like questions like this if you're someone like me that hasn't gone through this kind of public property real estate process before. So I put that question out there and I've been getting a lot of helpful responses back for how other cities have found success going through these processes, and gotten some information on public parking, some information on how you know you're going with the right broker or realtor, and then just some more internal stuff of just making sure you're having a good check-in system with your city staff involved, so like Whitney and our liquor store staff. So that's been good, but yeah, it's something that was new to Blaine too. So, when I was chatting with him about it, he was like, we didn't have a process set up, firmed up by any means. So now that we're getting closer and closer to the new liquor store, construction being completed and that move-in date for, from the old to the new, we just wanna make sure that we're moving on that, so that, yeah, sorry.
No, you go ahead, I'm just getting ready to wind up now. Just, and we've discussed it a little bit at some of the previous meetings,
Yeah.
but when that building is sold, that funds should be applied towards our new liquor store
Correct.
building and not going in to city coffers. It
Yep.
should get transferred and to
Mm.
pay down the debt on that new
Yep.
liquor store building.
Yep, and that was something that I added into my
Okay, I just-
question that I put out to people. I was like, this is something we want to reap as much as we can from the sale of this property. So whatever you did to cut down on costs, whatever you did in-house that you think, worked out, or maybe just any lessons learned that you have for, we maybe didn't have to pay out these fees to this realtor if I would have handled this internally, because it didn't seem all too hard, like what after going through it, but yeah, that's a good point.
A
Yeah,
lot
we
of
want to try.
legalities though on making sure everything is done properly, so it seems like a lot of money, but sometimes when you have snags or hang-ups to getting things done properly, that little bit extra you do pay,
Mhm.
but yeah, just
Yeah.
being,
Because they can put it out to their, networks that
Yeah.
we just don't have connections to, and maybe draw in some people from outside of Morris. But at City Hall, we started taking down a list of names and numbers of people who are interested in the property, just to start having conversations with them, because they're very interested in learning more about how the process is going. And up until this point, I've just kind of been telling them, we don't have a process solidified just yet. We're still working on it. It's new to us, but
we do have to advertise it or offer it to everybody,
Yep.
so there will be a process so that anyone
Yep.
that's interested will have a chance to purchase it.
Well, and
Right,
the
yeah.
comparables that they drew from were within a 55-mile radius of Morris.
mhm.
And then I
Well-
also noted that the personal property is not included in the appraisal. What are we gonna do with the personal property that's in the old liquor store? Like, that, when I assume personal property, they mean things like anything that's not attached, that's part of the building.
Mhm.
But personal property is anything not attached, so I would assume like the coolers and things like that.
And that's kind of why we want to make sure we've got a little bit of leeway in between that move-in, move-out time, so that we can have staff come in, and if it is between liquor and public works, to kind of tear down all of that stuff, if there's anything we want to move over or repurpose and use it in city property elsewhere. If, we've already got shelving and all of that good stuff in at the liquor store, maybe we can use it somewhere at City Hall or use it somewhere at the transit garage, I don't know.
Well, we're getting all new coolers at the new liquor store,
Right,
right?
yeah,
So the
so
old liquor
figuring
store,
out,
old coolers and things, there's probably, ways we could sell it too.
yeah,
Well, the added value to that building is the solar.
right,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
so we've gotta figure
How
out,
long has it been since we put the solar on there? Obviously, we're not through our return on investment on
It's
it, for
probably
sure.
about 10 years, I'd say, by now.
You think it's been that long?
Time flies.
I know it's probably at least 8 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah,
I wouldn't doubt that.
yeah,
But see, we're taking a little bit of a hit on that because definitely have not got back our return on our
Right.
investment on that.
mhm,
So that, but that is a huge thing for that building, is that's already all there and
What's
all
the
paid for.
payback on that solar? I
Yeah,
thought it was
solar.
not that
it was
long.
like 8, but then they came and said, well, there was snow covered up the panels, so we didn't get the heat value out of them because it snowed. And I said, imagine that,
Yeah.
Minnesota, there's snow on the roof.
sorry,
So then they stretched it out to 10 or 11.
Yeah.
yeah,
But is there any
Yeah, we're close to the payback.
responsibility for us to retain ownership on that, for us getting the funding from Otter Tail?
yeah, that's something
I
that
mean,
we
that's
need
something we have to check into
Yeah,
also.
I was thinking the same thing on that.
Or do you
Do
want
we-
to, then are we liable for anything that goes? with-
right,
I mean, the repair, the replacement down the road.
But if we don't, retain, if it's an 8-year or 10-year, whatever it is, if we don't go to the full life expectancy
yeah.
of that, or
Are
make
we,
sure it's
are we
used, are
obligated
we
to pay
obligated
anything?
or to
That's,
return the
yeah,
funds
we'll have
back
to
to
check
them?
in on any
Oh, I
kind of
see
grant
what you're
funding
doing.
that was like
Yeah.
used to pay for those
Yeah.
solar,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
we did have some kind of, 12-year, whatever that
Yeah.
looks like, just to make sure,
Yeah.
we're covered
Just some
there.
different questions, and it's coming up fast. We're hoping to get in the new
Right.
liquor store by June yet?
Yep, still June
Which
yet,
is-
yeah,
Oh, a few
Next
weeks
month.
away.
Yeah.
Not even next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the old liquor store was built in 95, so it's 31 years old, and now
Right.
we're into a new one. And
And
you take the money that we're gonna make from the sale of the old one, you know, we paid 1.6 for the new one. So
Yeah.
I think we made a pretty good decision.
Mhm.
When you look at that,
Considering what the cost was to remodel is what,
yeah, we had,
50 to 900,000?
yep,
Yeah.
to remodel that.
I'd say you walk in and all your coolers are all part of the building, it's all part of the structure myself.
Yeah, we'll fill over.
So X.
But that's what we need to figure out.
Well,
Yeah.
it depends on what they're gonna use it for. That person might
The same
wanna,
cooler.
maybe, I don't know, yeah, you're probably right, they could do
If
whatever
it's,
they want with it.
it's
That's
attached to the walls or it's part of the walls, normally it stays, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right,
But
good
that's all.
discussion.
Thank you. Yeah, that's all I've got for my newsletter.
All right, any questions off the city manager's newsletter?
Overtime.
Good conversation. Hearing none, we shall move on to board updates. If there's any people that would like to offer any board updates from their various boards. I guess I can share with, on the chamber side, Chamber Connects, City Manager Johnson and I had the privilege and to go out to the new addition out at the school, the new community ed expansion. Wow, is that an impressive addition?
Really is.
I think we were the first ones to actually see it, and I was really impressed. It's emphasis on, classrooms K through 6, I believe you said?
Yep, K through 6,
K
yeah.
through 6, and then there's
And
quite a bit of
education.
special ed.
Yeah, they moved the
enhancement.
6th grade back out of the high school,
Yep,
back into the
Upper.
upper,
yep,
and then the lower part of that addition will be the pre-K and all that stuff.
yeah, the
and then
special ed part of
community
it
ed.
was really,
And
I
then
was
though,
impressed
it's
with.
nice now the pre-K will have their own entrance,
Yep,
not being dropped off where all the other kids are. I think that's gonna be great for,
yeah, pretty
For
happy for
parents
Tony, and his group, you
Yeah,
know, they got a nice
yeah.
working space now, and
you know,
it's just gonna be a nice addition.
Mhm.
Anything else anybody would like to share?
nothing I'd like to share, but I think I'd like to maybe put out there that if we could get a work session set up, maybe pick a date. I think that we need to have a work session to talk about our contract with the sheriff's department. Just all of us to discuss a little bit, because Jeff and I will, well, if you guys still want Jeff and I to do it, we were the ones that were doing it before, but
Mhm.
maybe.
Yeah, you're on the
maybe-
service commission.
Right, maybe you don't want it to be that way anymore, which is fine, but it would be nice for us to have
Some input.
input from
The rest of us.
everybody and a direction, so that we're not just out there doing what we wanna do, we're doing what the collective
Wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
wants to do.
I reached out to Becky on that idea, and she gave me some dates for June, if that works.
I mean, I
No,
want a work
like
session
us.
just us.
Us, not
Oh,
with the
just,
county.
okay,
Not with the-
sorry, okay.
Yep.
Yep, Jeff and I will,
Misunderstood that.
then we can, after we've had our session, then we can reach out and then
Okay.
we could get together,
Sure, yeah.
yeah.
Would
And
something?
you would wanna be a part of that, I'm assuming.
Yes, please. Talking to Carolina, it sounds like work sessions have typically been scheduled like just on the tail end of council meetings, is that?
Months, we have 4 Tuesdays,
June's got
Okay,
the
Well,
5th
an extra
Tuesday.
Tuesday, yeah.
So
Yeah.
there is a 5th Tuesday in June.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
wanna do it
Is that
on
too
the
late? The 30th?
30th, or do we wanna try and do it like on the 2nd or the 16th?
yeah,
Let's see, what'd you say, the second?
2nd is probably a little quick already, but just
probably.
potentially either the 16th or 30th, I would suggest.
And I know park tour, hasn't that
That's right.
typically been the first meeting in June? Or
One
is
of our
that,
council meetings,
Yeah, that's-
normally just since we're all here, that
Sure.
we've tried to accommodate, and the park board has met us, and we've done the tour, either, whatever works best for us, but
okay,
Well, we've also scheduled work sessions off of the Tuesday. You know, we've had a Monday
can.
one or,
yeah,
Doesn't have to be
or
on a
something
Tuesday.
like that if we wanted
Yeah.
to.
yeah.
If we wanted to step it up a little bit to, because I'm not sure, I do think it's better to do it sooner than later that we do I mean,
Yeah.
because you're in a budgetary and they're figuring that out for this coming year and all that stuff is, the easier they get that to their numbers.
Yeah,
And
I agree.
Rebecca would, I'm sure she would appreciate it.
yeah. So just to clarify, I know we wanna do a work session, just us. Do we want to do a work session with like, the sheriffs as well and Becky, or no?
Not
Just
yet, no, we
okay,
need to just
perfect.
discuss it
No,
in-house, what we want before
Perfect,
the
okay.
three of us go and meet with them, I would suggest.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
well,
think
that
we
sounds
work
good. I
around
just
the
wanna make sure I
Yeah.
let Becky know,
Right.
because she kinda threw out some dates for me, but, yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Well, I
That
mean,
works.
you can look at those, you know, you can still look at the dates and they
Yeah.
could be after we have our meeting and
Yeah.
then we
Right.
can go forward too. Cause I think it'll take more than one session with them. You know, I don't
Yeah.
really think it's gonna just get all decided in one shot.
No, we'll probably have more questions come up
Mhm.
after we meet during the work session, I'm sure.
Did the park board have a date in mind for our June park tour?
I think, well, we
Are you
meet
gonna discuss
tomorrow.
it tomorrow night?
Yeah,
Either 9th or the 23rd, preference for the council. I've been pretty much, they're flexible, or have been previously.
No, we're talking park board.
Do a park board tour
Yeah,
after our
either.
council meeting.
Right,
Yeah, either one of those is
he's
fine.
fine with me
yeah,
too, either
yeah, I
one.
think so.
And then.
We'll try and shoot for the 9th,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
and if that works for the park board, do the 9th, and if not, our alternate would be the 23rd.
Sure.
Yeah, he has on the agenda just Parks Tour coming up in June.
perfect, yeah. Yeah, I talked with Torgy and he was like, yeah, we flipped back and forth between the first or second meeting, just,
Yeah.
and
Is-
go ahead.
Is there any, I mean, if we wanted to get together, next Monday or something like that, or
Well, we
or
have to,
Tuesday, or maybe we schedule some time after our next council meeting. I don't really believe, if we're only gonna do it for, I don't think the discussion's gonna last more than 30 minutes. Do you? I mean,
I
I
would
don't
think
think we're
so.
gonna spend 2 hours on it.
No,
yeah,
I mean, if people wanna, if you're formulating ideas or whatever,
We've got the framework
What you
we've been
wanna
working
contribute.
under, it's just what changes or the positives, the negatives,
Right.
things.
yeah.
I
Lessons
mean,
learned.
obviously cost, but that's,
and we
Everything.
could close and then go into a work session after our next meeting for half an hour. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah,
we keep
That's
it
right.
to that if people like that schedule,
yep, we're
Yeah.
here, and
Yeah,
you know?
that works. So that would be the 26th.
yep. That would give us enough time to make sure we just have it
I'm
posted.
fine with that.
Yeah.
Makes
I'm
sense.
fine with that too. I mean,
Yeah, we're all here anyway, so.
Right?
so do that the 26th
After.
after the meeting.
Right.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
All right,
Thank you.
And then
Yeah,
still
thank you.
keep the 30th on as a, because that would be the 5th Tuesday.
I think that would be healthy for us to
Yeah, we
Yeah, I
just,
don't
just
think
keep that
that's-
5th Tuesday just on laying the law down with the
Yeah.
new city manager and where we're at and things that things we want to discuss. I mean,
Oh,
it's-
yeah,
we've
Yeah.
been here since
Sure.
April 1st, and
for an additional work session, or what's
Yes.
the fifth Tuesday? Okay.
we normally do for a year just on the 5th Tuesday,
Gotcha, okay, I didn't know that,
just to
okay.
cover the common grounds of
Yeah,
things,
okay. That sounds good.
is what we started a year or two ago.
Perfect,
It does help. A
It
lot.
does.
I think it does.
yeah, it's nice to be able to speak a little bit
And
more
then, I don't know,
informally
we have-
without all of the,
Right.
we probably haven't talked about the city manager evaluation process, but we do have one, and we try to do it every 6 months, I believe, and do we do an initial with, do we need to do an initial, or just wait and do a 6 month, or what are your council thoughts there?
well, that might be something we talk about on the 30th.
Yeah,
I guess bringing the 30th, if
Yeah.
Zoe has questions for us at that time, or if we have
Yep.
things that we think or have questions back and forth, just the open
yeah,
dialogue so that we're comfortable with each other
Yep.
and
awesome.
everybody knows what's going on.
Well, we
instead of-
do, in the work session, we do put an agenda together and that's all we discuss. We
Yeah.
don't go
Right.
out on, we don't go out on tangents, so if we're gonna.
That's right.
On the
Has to
26th,
be
if we're going to
specific.
talk about
yep,
one thing and one thing only, or if there's gonna be two things, it's two things only, we're not,
yep,
you know, we're not
yep.
fixing the
Yeah,
little
you gotta have a
problem.
specific
Yes.
Yeah,
So if
subject in
there's
mind.
specific things, you
yeah.
gotta get to Zoe so we can have that on the agenda.
thank you, appreciate that, that was exactly what I was gonna say. Okay, that sounds good, we'll get those work sessions booked
Perfect.
on posted so that they're made public, I don't have anything else.
Is there any other business? The only other question I had is the bike path project. Do you know when we're starting on that?
Start date, I'm not exactly sure. We just got our donation from the Riverview Foundation on that, on the trail reconditioning, if that's what you're,
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about,
Yep.
is that in the amount of 250,000, is that
Yep.
what that was?
Yep.
You know, we should really have a photo opportunity and invite them in.
Yeah, I think, Jeff, was it you that talked with Becca and
Becca and I went out and
Cassidy
met with Cassidy and
about maybe doing a sign
Adam
or something?
and asked if they wanted to do some type of informational or just their
Yeah.
contribution to the community.
Yeah,
Because sometimes people don't want to, they want to do it anonymously,
Right.
and they were more than welcome to do some, just giving back to the community.
yeah,
When I talked to Adam about it, he said, they're all about, community, and they're okay with having a public recognition. He said he'd be willing to come in and, grab a couple people and we could get an oversized check or something and,
yeah,
just to give them some recognition, and they're okay with that.
yeah.
He was fine with it, so,
Yeah.
maybe you wanna talk to Adam too and just see what he thinks.
Yeah, I reached out to Cassie today when Whitney let me know that, that money came through from the Riverview Foundation, just to make sure that we're still on the same page, that, they want to have Riverview Foundation on the donation memo, and, just to touch base on, some signage, because she had mentioned that too, that Becca and you had talked, with her about that. Just something like made possible by Minnesota Grant and then Riverview Foundation.
Yeah, I think just a sign of appreciation from us and the community is appropriate.
Yeah.
It's a significant donation, and I think they deserve to be a little
Yeah.
credited for that,
Yeah, for sure.
recognized, I guess.
Yeah, but I'll check back
Yep.
in on when exactly that
That'd be
project
fine.
is starting.
That'd be fine.
Cause I
Thank
know
you.
that one they've got restrictions on, so that they can, rip it up, put it all down, so that summer usage can,
But all the
Just so-
funding and the bid has been awarded.
that's a good question. I believe, bids are currently being accepted. I don't know if they've been awarded just
Okay,
yet.
I can't
Yeah.
remember where, or what the process, with a
Yeah.
lot of that, you have to bid it and then get approval with a lot of the different state funding,
Yeah.
and it's a drawn out process, but
Yeah,
just so where we're at with it. and-
yeah, I'll check back in on that. Okay.
So we'll have an update next meeting, all right.
Yeah.
Or residents questioning why all the trees were trimmed alongside the path, and it's like, well, the paver is 16 foot wide and the path is 8 foot wide, so to
Mhm.
get a 16 foot paver down, you have to go a little wider to make it work, and, well, we don't wanna take it out, well, it's part of the growth pain to make the improvements, you just
Right.
gotta,
Yeah, it's nice for the public to know when we're gonna start a project like that, cause it
Yeah.
is used a lot.
Exactly. That's why we wanted to
Just
put the
over
restrictions
communication,
on
is
it.
all we're asking there. All right,
Yeah.
yep.
Great.
No, that sounds good. I apologize.
All
I just
right.
don't have it in front of me.
Anything else to come before the council? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Mr. Fear, good to see you.
Yeah. Thanks.